Hello everyone and welcome. In this video I'm going to show you how to set up a web hosting account from scratch using the domain name I registered in the Register a Domain Name video. I'll demonstrate how to set up a shared web hosting account using HostGator. Okay, let's go to HostGator.com. Now that we're here, let's just take a minute to check out the home page. In the header area, you'll find something very valuable, a toll-free support number. If you're considering a web host that doesn't have a toll-free support number, don't even think about it. In fact, just run away. Any good web host will offer a number of ways to contact them for sales and support, such as this toll-free support number, or you might have a live chat, and you might also have email tickets. HostGator prominently displays their toll-free number on their homepage, as well as other support pages, so you don't have to go looking for it in some obscure location. You can find other support options in the Support tab here. On this page, HostGator prominently displays the methods you can request support, which include phone support, live chat, and email tickets. Okay, let's go back to the home page. In this section, you'll see features that come with many of their shared plans. Some of the more important features include unlimited bandwidth, unlimited disk space, one-click installs, a 45-day money-back guarantee, and 24/7 365 technical support. We'll click on this button to check out the shared hosting plans in just a minute, but before we do that, I want to show you that HostGator also offers virtual private servers as well as dedicated servers. If you're interested, you can click here to view the VPS plans, or here to view the dedicated server plans. I'm not going to do that since all I need is a shared hosting plan. So go ahead and click the View Web Hosting Plans button. Here we can see a breakdown of the three plans. There is a hatchling plan, a baby plan, and a business plan. The main difference between the hatchling and the baby plan is that you can have multiple domain names on the baby plan, where you can only have one domain on the hatchling plan. There's a real advantage to purchasing the baby plan if you have more than one domain. In fact, I have quite a few domain names on one of the baby accounts that I have. However, I only have to pay once for the account, even though I have many names. Now that really saves me a ton of money. The main difference between the baby and the business plans is that the business plan provides a dedicated SSL certificate, where the baby plan only provides a shared SSL certificate, and SSL stands for Secured Sockets Layer. If you're going to be doing any kind of e-commerce, you'll absolutely need a dedicated SSL certificate, and you'll need to choose the business plan. If you're just getting started though, and won't be receiving or transmitting any sensitive customer data, you probably can stick with the baby plan. It's never a bad idea to have a dedicated SSL certificate, however, so you really can't go wrong if you decide to purchase the business plan. The website I'm creating is DIYsurvivalkits.com, which will incorporate e-commerce, so I'm going to choose the business plan. In this drop-down menu, you have a number of subscription plans to choose from. For now, I'll just choose the monthly option. I can always upgrade to a longer subscription term later if I'm comfortable that I'm going to keep the domain name for a while. After you've selected the term, click on the Order Now button. That takes us to step 1, where we can either register a domain name with HostGator or provide a domain name that we already own. Since I already own DIYsurvivalkits.com, which I registered through Namecheap, I'll just type that in this box. Now, you might be wondering why I went to the effort of registering a domain name separately from my web host, especially since registering a domain name with a web host is usually cheaper, easier, and faster. I did this and recommend that you do the same for a very specific reason, and that reason is risk diversification. Having a domain name registered with your web host puts you at a much higher risk of completely using your website if you ever get hacked or have a dispute with your web host. While it doesn't happen every day, I've heard plenty of horror stories about people losing their websites because they get tremendous spikes in traffic. Traffic spikes can cause problems not only for yourself, but for other people you share the web server with. A web host takes issues like this very seriously and can shut a website down at a moment's notice without your permission. They take the action first and then ask the questions later if something like this happens. Now, this spike in traffic could come from a sale that you put on your e-commerce website, or it could be a denial of service attack from a malicious hacker. Either way, it's probably bad news for you, and your website will most likely be shut down until the issue is resolved. If you're in a situation where your website's been shut down by your host, and you have your domain name registered through that host, you're absolutely stuck until whatever issue you have is resolved, no matter how long it takes, which could be hours, days, weeks, or maybe even never. While you may not be able to avoid website shutdowns because of issues like this, you can minimize the damage by separating your domain name from your web host. Let's go back to the scenario of your web host turning your website off. If, in this case, you have your domain name registered separately, for instance through Namecheap, you can just purchase another web hosting account through a different hosting company, and then you're back in business. You still have to tie your domain name to that web hosting account and allow that information to propagate the web, but that may take much less time than resolving any issue you might have with your web host. There is no doubt, though, that you'll have to spend some additional money to solve this problem, but at least it's a solvable problem and it's on your terms. I'll openly admit that I've broken the register your domain name separately rule on many occasions in the past, and I do still have several domain names still registered with web hosting accounts just because it was quick and easy to set up. Since I've wised up and have come to understand the risks, though, I typically register my domain names separate from my web host. It's a little more hassle, but it provides a much higher level of protection for you and your business. Okay, let's move on. Now go ahead and click Continue to Step 2. That takes us to the Step 2 billing information screen, where we'll need to confirm our hosting package and billing cycle. I see the business package and a 1-month cycle, so we're good here. In this next section, I'll create a username and security PIN. Now be sure you read these rules on how to create the proper username and PIN. In this section, I'll enter my billing information and choose a payment method. Next, HostGator provides a couple options for your hosting accounts that we really don't need. If I decide I want any of these options in the future, I can always change my account settings or just call HostGator to make the changes. In this last section, I just need to review my order and accept the terms and conditions of use by ticking the box here. After you've reviewed everything, go ahead and click the Create Account button. Now on this screen, it says that an email has been sent to us, and we need to check that email for our registration information. So I'm going to open up my email, and when I come back, I'll show you what I received from HostGator. Okay, here's the email I received from HostGator. You'll want to be sure you keep this email in a safe place since it contains all the information that you'll need in order to log into your account. I would suggest printing it out and then also adding it to a special folder in your email program so you can find it easily in the future. Let's take a look at what we received. First, you'll see a login URL for HostGator's billing system. It says that we'll log in using the email address that this email was sent to. In this case, that address is support@littlebitsmarts.com. And here's the password that you'll need to use with that specific email. Next, it confirms that we purchased a business plan. Here is a different link to the control panel, otherwise known as the cPanel. This is how we'll interact with HostGator the most. Be sure you add this link to your web browser's favorites section. That'll make it a lot easier to get to the cPanel very quickly. Next, we see the username we chose during the account setup, the domain name we provided, and the password that HostGator generated for us. You'll need to use this username and password to log into your cPanel. The following section is very important and something that we'll need in order to continue setting up our website. You can see that there is a first name server and a second name server. We'll need both of these in order to point the domain name to our web hosting account. In just a minute, I'm going to show you how to copy and paste this information to the right location in your registrar's back office. Once we do that, your website will begin to propagate throughout the internet, and it will eventually become visible to you and everyone else. When you purchase a domain name directly from your web host, you don't actually need to worry about setting up any of this because they take care of the process for you automatically, which is really pretty nice. However, as I said earlier, I wouldn't recommend that due to the large amount of risk that comes from registering your domain name through your web host. Okay, now it's time to go back to the registrar. I'm going to open up a new tab in my internet browser, and I'm going to go to namecheap.com. Okay, now I'll need to log in, so I'm going to enter a username and password, and now I'll click Login. After you log in, you'll see your account dashboard. From here, go up to the menu and hover over the My Account menu button. From the drop-down menu, click Manage Domains. Look for the domain name that you're working with. Here's my domain of DIYsurvivalkits.com. Go ahead and click on the link for your domain name. This page provides information that's specific to that domain name and allows us to modify it. The reason we're on this page is to transfer our domain name server to our web host. We do that by clicking on the Transfer DNS to Web Host link in the menu here. Scroll down a little bit so you can fully see the Specify Custom DNS servers. This is where we'll be entering the name server information from that email we received earlier. Okay, let's go back to that email. I'll be copying and pasting the name server information you see here. Now, I prefer to copy and paste versus typing something in manually. When you manually type things in, you're more prone to make mistakes, especially with something as complex as a name server string. Okay, let's copy the first name server. Now go back to your registrar and paste that information right here. All right, go back to the email. Now copy the second name server. Go back to your registrar and paste that name server information here. Lastly, click the Save Changes button. Okay, here we can see that the domain name servers have been updated. Now it's just a matter of waiting for the domain name to propagate on the internet so their website will go live. While the process of registering a domain name separately from your web host is the right thing to do, it does definitely take longer to get your website up and running. This process can take a few hours to a couple days. Normally, my websites are available within a few hours. In several cases, it's only taken a few minutes, but you really should never expect that. All right, let's go to our website and see what we can find. I'll open a new tab and type in DIYsurvivalkits.com. Before I hit the enter button, I want you to know that we'll see one of two things. There will either be a screen that indicates that the website has not become available yet, or we might see something from our web host. If, in this case, we see something from HostGator, that means the domain name has already propagated and we're ready to work on our website. It would be highly unlikely to see the website that fast though, so you shouldn't expect it. Okay, go ahead and hit the enter button or click the small green arrow here and let's see what happens. All right, this is actually pretty amazing because it took just a few minutes for our domain name to propagate enough so that we can work on our website. I know their website is live because we're seeing this screen from HostGator. If it had not been ready for us, we would have seen an error message or a screen from our registrar indicating that someone owned that particular domain name, but there would be no reference to our web host. Having your website go live this fast is really unusual, and you should not expect this to happen in your case. Normally, you should expect this process to take hours or days, like I was mentioning earlier. If it happens this quick, just consider it a bonus. So now that we have a live website, we can start installing the WordPress software or anything else we want. Okay, that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one.